Hello everyone! Here Fuzz Cinema in a new video. In the video section of Curiosity about games, today we'll review a new fun game of the community of Five Nights at Freddy's, but no one with new characters and friendly atmospheres. Today we'll review a fun game that has given a lot to talk about these days, from the hand of the developer Marco Antonio. Is that we will talk about FNAF 1 Remake, a fun game that tries to return to the old glory of the first game of Funbeer franchise, but this time from somewhere memories, having bizarre entities between us and a little friend that has been waiting for us to give us a real party. Without more talk about, let's start with the video. FNAF 1 Remake is an indie psychological parody fan game developed by Marco Antonio, inspired by the whole Five Nights at Freddy franchise by Scott Cawthon. It has been a full surprise that was intended to be shown in a full after a countdown that gradually revealed its title. After the release on April Fool's Day, fans were pleasantly surprised to discover a game complete with engaging gameplay and a sinister story. Serving as Antonio's first fan game since 2021, it served as a high-effort taunt towards the recent wave of ransomware fan games popularized mainly in the early 2025. Initially, FNAF 1 Remake served as an inside joke among Antonio's closest friends on his private Twitter account. However, he only began taking the game development seriously in February and created it as a fun, bite-sized experience for him to work on it. The meantime, welcome to Freddy's development. The plot of FNAF 1 Remake revolves around the nostalgia of Five Nights at Freddy's, as the personification of the game itself referred to the only one as Buddy. Has a surprise reunion with the player, As the player returns to the game to rekindle nostalgic memories of the initial release of Five Nights at Freddy's 10 years ago, Buddy delivers an unforgettable and seamless experience that promises to surpass even perfection itself. While Marco Antonio spent 2 months developing FNAF 1 Remake, it was primarily a small-scale project that he enjoyed working on during his brief development period. In the game bonus section, he redirects players to a small look at Welcome at Freddy's, which serves as his high-effort remake, along with Five Nights at Freddy's Blood and Gears, highlighting the release of its demo. Bunny looks almost exactly like Bunny from the original Five Nights at Freddy's, with some difference including that he is missing his guitar, has thinner hands with longer fingers, is a lighter shade of purple as opposed to be indigo, has a more elongated face that dips downwards, more human teeth, and has black eyes and a black bow tie instead of the purple eyes and red bow tie. Bunny is activated on night 1 and starts a stage next to Chick and Funbeer. Upon activation, he will move to the dinner chamber and then move down any of the hallways. His next move is to the respective corner of the room. After exiting the corner, he will go to the player's room and can be seen using the lights on the door. The player must close the doors to avoid being frightened. If the door is closed, Bunny will eventually leave after a while. Chica is one of the secondary antagonists in the FNAF 1 remake. She is a twisted version of Chica the Chicken from FNAF 1, created by Buddy to make the player continue playing. Chick looks almost exactly like Chica the Chicken from the original Five Nights at Freddy's, with some difference including the lack of Mr. Cupcake, having thinner hands with longer fingers, her bib lacks confetti, as well as saying snack instead of the catchphrase let's eat, having a smile with human teeth instead of a beak, and having black and instead of purple eyes. Chick gets activated on night 2 and starts on the stage next to Bunny and Funbeer. Upon activation, she will move to the dinner chamber, then Chick will charge through any of the corridors visible in the respective chamber. The player must close the door before entering. She will then remain there for a brief moment before returning to the stage. Oxy Pirate is one of the secondary antagonists in the FNAF 1 remake. He's a distortionate version of Foxy created by Buddy to prevent the player from leaving the game. Oxy appears almost exactly like Foxy the Fox from the original Five Nights at Freddy's, but with a distortionate features. He lacks eyes and has longer snout with sharp teeth. His lank hair and his arms are now elongated. with his hook and hands extending to his feet. Oxy Pirate is activated on night 2 and begins in the cove. Oxy has 5 stages in this chamber, starting with the curtains closed and ending with Oxy standing menacingly off stage there. Like Foxy from the original game, seeing Oxy on the cameras will stop them, although you have to look at the Cove camera specifically and not the monitor itself. Cove's camera can receive an electric shock to send Oxy back behind the curtains, though this will consume 2% of the power and cause the shock to need to recharge for about a minute and 30 seconds. Each second and a half is displayed as 1 second on the counter. The stage of charge can be viewed on the Cove's camera. If Oxy leaves the Coves completely, they will not kill the player, but will go to one of the 2 doors to prevent the player from completely closing the door from the rest of the night by holding it open with their hook. This will almost and most likely result in the player being killed by Bonnie or Chick. Occasionally, when not looking at the camera, Oxy will make his hook descend from the office ceiling, indicated by a distorted version of Foxy's buzzing sound. The sound must click on Oxy's hook and send them back in order to avoid scaring them, which they will do if the hook descends too. Funbeer is one of the secondary antagonists in the FNAF 1 remake, serving as this game version of Freddy Fazbear. Funbeer looks almost the same as Freddy Fazbear from the original Five Nights At Freddy's, with some difference including his missing microphone and bottom half. Having thinner hands with longer fingers, his bow tie looks more droppy. He has no teeth with a permanent frowning mouth and no eyes, although he can see white dots in his eyes while he's in the office. Funbeer is activated on night 3 and starts on stage next to Bunny and Chick. When activated, he will do one of the 3 things. Funbeer appears on the office, lowering the cameras in the process. The player must look at him to make him go away. Funbeer laughs and teleports to one of the cameras. Other than the stage, starting at it for a brief period will bring it back to the stage. A keyboard appears on the office. 4 buttons will flash in a certain order, and then the buttons must be pressed in the same order within 10 seconds to save the player from a certain death at hands of Funbeer. Funbeer will also go to the left door if the player ever runs out of energy. Buddy is the main antagonist on the FNAF 1 remake, serving as this game version of Golden Freddy's and the person who made this game in the universe. Buddy takes on the appearance of Fredbear, though mainly in the shape of his head. With a constant grin and red eyes, he has lanky, very long black body with purple ribbon instead of a bow tie, and has what appears to be blood around his right eye. Buddy appears throughout the game, including in the monologue from the opening of the game at the beginning of each night, where he tells the player in text from how each character works, kinda similar to Fungi. Buddy becomes the only active on night 6, where the player must defend against him. Buddy starts with the dinner camera and will move around the building until he reaches one of the doors, where the player must hold the door light on him to make him go away. Sometimes he runs into one of the doors similar to Chick. When this happens, the player must quickly close the door before reaching it to avoid its scare. Buddy will occasionally cause a virus in form of a pop-up window to appear on a random camera, in which the player must close the pop-up window quickly, or else it will completely drain the power. He will also cause one of the TVs in the office to turn on, in which the player must click on them to turn it off, or they will start to drain the power really quickly. Buddy also attacks the player when the power goes out, kinda similar to Funbeer. Buddy appears again after defeating the Night 6, where he'll apologize to the player for not making the perfect remake. Buddy makes his final appearance during the minigame required to complete the secret ending, in which the player is tasked to collect 15 balloons in the raw code of FNAF 1 remake while abiding Buddy, who is looking for the player as well, of course. The player will constantly and be randomly told to hide and will have 10 seconds to find one of the black walls around the map and get behind it, after which Buddy's eye will cover the background of the minigame. If you fail to do so, it will be game over. FNAF 1 Remake was based entirely off the Five Nights At Freddy's franchise ransomware video craze popularized by the game legend Five Nights At Freddy's series and the mobile port dubbed Five Nights At Freddy's 2 String Away. Although the game takes too much inspiration from the video and fan game creation of the FNAF 1, Five Nights at Freddy's were mobile port by the user Uncleon, taking the concept with the office that instead of a door, has cages and having a final boss with a slim aggressive appearance towards the player. This fan game was starting to be as an April Fool's joke 2 months before of their date. It was in collaboration with Mark Antonio's closest friends on their private account, and little by little it scaled to be a full-length game for the April Fool's Day. This shows the great power of work and commitment that Mark Antonio had. When digging into the game files and modifying the game, we will be shown a small anti-piracy screen with a scary Freddy telling us to reset the file as it was before, and that it's not for fun to skip the whole game to see the climax. This is an interesting concept of an anti-piracy screen that can be seen in many current fan games as a way to make the player be forced to play the game completely without any advantage. After the end of Night 5, a small dialogue will be presented to us showing a small caricature of a golden bear. This is Buddy, which we have narrated its appearance. This is presented as a malicious AI that seeks a single purpose, to deliver a pleasant experience to the player to stay with him. According to the puppet, Buddy will be the creator of the bizarre monsters that we were having as enemies during the nights, giving us to understand that this entity is partially controlled of our device and with the gift of creating. Among this fan game development, we can find really renowned people on the Five Nights at Freddy's and FNAF community. For example, we have Wabbox, who is mainly known in the FNAF community for participating in the important project of Mario Madness, being another of Marco Antonio's project. Storm, or also known as Journey Gurney, who is known for being the main composer of the song Silly Billy. And also Facey Funbeer, the creator of the fan game Playtime with Percy, recognized to the fan game of the FNAF community which has a revolutionary mechanics inside of the community. According to the words of the fan game creator himself, the Night 6 televisions with their respective mechanics are inspired by the Japanese vocalist song Mesmerize, where Kazane Teto and Hatsune Miku are performed on it. Buddy, our great master builder. Although he replaced Golden Freddy in the game, many fans interpreted the character as an inspiration or clear evidence that he can represent the creator of the fan game, Marco Antonio, since his OC has similarities to this character before said, being dubbed by the fans as a good audience self, given to portray how well made the character is compared to his fan game counterpart called FNAF in Real Time, which was accused of having a very poorly out of himself dubbed as the brother. Continuing with the previous curiosity, in the extras we can witness more clearly the references, being that Marco Antonio introduced us to quote-unquote the sister, the female counterpart of the quote-unquote brother from the FNAF in Real Time. And well, that was all for today's video. It was kind of entertaining to see new fan games recreating old games in their own way. Although, this one scares us because of the possible potential of breaking our computer. Without more to say, I am Fuse Cinema, and see you in the next video.